Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Anna and thank you for coming back to my channel. For those of you who are new, I am on the Cambridge weight plan. I am tracking my weight loss. I started on the 1st of June and every week I share my progress on the week, my progress to date, and a few reflections, tips, tricks, thoughts as I am that I'm learning and that I have found as I'm going through the weight loss program, so that if you find that helpful, if you're going through a similar process yourself, then you may be able to leverage those learnings, those experiences. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down on the comments box, and I'll make sure that I get back to you. I've replied to every comment. I post videos once a week at least, between Wednesday and Friday, so please subscribe and hit the notification button so that you know when they come out. And if you have any ideas or any questions or anything you'd like to cover, then please do feel free to drop them down on the comments box. So that's enough of the overall setup. Let's get down to business. How have I done this week? So I did anticipate last week that it was that kind of time of the month for me, so it wasn't going to be a great one. But I still think it's a fantastic result. So I lost 1 kilo last week. And let me just emphasize, this is week 20, okay? So 20 weeks worth of dieting and consistently losing a fair amount of weight. And I have lost another kilo, which is another 2.23 pounds. That makes a total of 33.25 kilos on the Cambridge weight plan. And that's the equivalent of 74 pounds. And 5.28, almost 5.3 stones, which in 20 weeks is absolutely amazing. I couldn't be happier. I can't believe the difference that those months have made. So it's just remarkable in terms of how I feel, how I look. I mean, you can go back to my first video and I'll try to put in a photo somewhere, but you can see, the difference just in terms of my face alone, my neck. I'm getting cheekbones. I'm getting like a jawline. That's not happened for a long time, and I am delighted. I've gone down at least 4 dress sizes. I'm kind of on the cusp of going down to the next one, and I'm really enjoying the process in terms of the journey of discovery that it is to lose weight on a regular basis, to watch your body transform, to feel how you're changing yourself, and the boosting confidence that it gives you. It doesn't solve your work problems or your life's problems for that matter. You need to sort those yourself. But it does help you feel different about yourself, and it does give you a different perspective. So it's been an interesting week for me because I've been having quite a busy time at work, and the last week it culminated with I was preparing this type of not conference, but it was like a week with a number of different courses and sessions that we were running, and it required a lot of preparation and logistics and getting people and doing different things. So it required a lot of effort from me, and I was so thankful that of where I was, because I've been so focused on my routines and I could just leverage to them. But I've had this before where I forgot my products, but I was able to work around it. This last week I had on Thursday, I forgot my products at home, and I had a busy day at work. I had no time to spare to go and get anything, and I was in a major panic because I was on the cusp of going down a big weight target. Excuse me. I was on the cusp of going down a big weight target, and I didn't really want to impact that. I've been so focused on sticking to the diet, not breaking away from it, that I really did not want to step away. So I was on the phone to my consultant, who's brilliant, and she was so patient with me through my panic and my stress. And she was saying to me, try to see if you can have a boiled egg. I can't do boiled eggs. I need to at least have it in omelette form with no oil. So I went down to the canteen at work, seeing if I could get a couple of eggs that I could cook in the microwave myself, because otherwise it would have oil if it was cooked at the canteen. that wouldn't work. They wouldn't sell them to me. I was horrified and outraged that this was happening, thinking, this is for, the way I was saying, it's for my health, because I am eating for my health, to improve my health. Myself is not just about my weight. I do see it as the way to nourish my body in the way that I need. So I started thinking about what I need, my day ahead, and everything I had to do. And at one point, I had this major epiphany of, Anna, you are worrying about everything except for you. So what is it that you need to stay on plan, regardless of everything else that is going on around you? And what is it that you need to change and to tweak and to adjust right now, today, to get you to still get the outcome that you want, which is to stick to plan, to feel like you're still following the diet, that you're not breaking away from it, and that you're able to do it and continue to achieve your goals. And that was like a major moment for me, because it made me just take a step back, take a deep breath, and kind of release all of that stress that I had built throughout the day, and really think about it different. Now, for me, it was quite simple, because a meeting that I thought I cannot change anything today, I ended up changing the meeting, moving it along. It had zero impact on my work, on my day-to-day, and it allowed me to have a bit of time so I could go to the closest Superdrug and get a Lighter Life product. I know, I'm so in the bad books. It's not a Cambridge product, and it's a Lighter Life, and I paid for my sins, because I'm sorry, Lighter Life, but I just didn't like it. I felt like it was a major sugar rush. I felt like it really activated my hunger, but at least I know that they're meant to be very close to the Cambridge product, so that would keep me on plan. And I bought 2, I had them throughout the day, then I went home, I carried on with my plan, and I continued. And that helped me to stay in control, and that helped me to feel like I was on top of things. But the big penny dropping moment was that moment of thinking, you're worrying about everything but yourself. So I guess my question to you all, based on what I've gone through, and I'm assuming that I'm not that special, and therefore I'm not the only person that goes through this. I'm sure if I feel that, more people will be feeling this, which is, what are you doing, and are you doing enough to put yourself and your needs first? And there is a correlation to a certain extent with overweight people being people pleasers, and also not everybody, please don't get me wrong, but we are generally kind-hearted people in general, kind-hearted and want to help, but there is this a certain degree of correlation between you putting weight on and putting yourself last in your priority lists, and putting other people's needs first before your own, for a whole lot of great reasons, because they're your family and friends, because you love them, because it's your kids, you need to take care of them, they depend on you, because that's your habits, it's what you're used to, you like doing it because that's your way of expressing love to people. So there's a whole raft of reasons why that happens. But at the end of the day, it ends up being counterproductive, for you and for others, because if you're not taking care of yourself and your needs first, then you're not going to be able to turn up to everything that you do as your best self, in the best way that you can be. And then others are not going to get the same experience from you over time. That's going to deteriorate, and the relationships and the dynamics are going to shift. So it's really important that you continue to be true to yourself, and that you find a way to put your needs first. And there are many reasons why we don't do it. There is this sense that helping people is a good thing, and therefore you feel good helping others, and you like to help others, so you do that. But when it starts being at the detriment of your own needs, then there is something out of balance there that you may just need to check. Because I hate to use the obvious quote of, or the comparison to. I'm sure that you will have heard people saying, when you're on a plane and they're talking about the air mask. They always say put your own air mask first before helping others. It goes down to you can't help anyone if you're not helping yourself first, because if you pass out because you can't breathe, then you won't be able to help anyone else. So try to get yourself in that position first. It's the same with everything else, and it's the same with your diet, with your exercise. What are you doing to keep yourself in your peak condition so you can then give your best to others after? And that's a different way of shifting things to help you look at that from a different point of view. There's another thing that I've definitely felt this in the past. I don't know if you do, but you feel that if you're putting your needs first, you're being selfish. And that probably comes because somewhere in your childhood or growing up, you were told that, you were being selfish if you were just looking after something for yourself. But then you have projected that into the rest of your life and your adult life. And that's a little bit out of balance, because just because you take care of yourself, you're not being selfish. You're not being mean to other people, but you do need to have that sense of taking care of yourself and, looking out for your own well-being first. So there is nothing wrong with you looking out for yourself. And that doesn't mean that you then completely disregard everybody. Of course not. And if you have a family, you need to take care of your kids and you need to make sure that their needs are met. But you also need to make sure that your needs are being met too. So that you could be the parent, the husband, the wife, the brother, the sister, the friend that you want to be, because you're in the best condition that you possibly can. There may be a conscious or a subconscious thought there around whether you deserve that. Do you deserve to buy nicer clothes? Do you deserve to spend that money on yourself? Do you deserve the time? Of course you do. Of course you're worth it. Of course you deserve it. Of course you should have those things, and you should make sure that you build those into your lives, because why wouldn't you, and if you think that you're not worth it, you may have, weight gain has a way of making you develop this inner voice that makes you think that you're less than. So why would you even think, like, who do you think you are to think about wearing such a dress or such a size of jeans or to do such a thing? It can send you down that spiral, or it might make you think, why bother? Why bother with this? Because I'm not going to look good in that. So why bother doing this? Or why bother doing that? It's like, well, if you go down that space, and if you're hearing in your mind the voice of why bother, or who do you think, or why do you think you should do that? This is all just fear talking, and it's all just this kind of negative spiral that at one point or other we need to break out of, because it really drags you down and it's just not supportive of anything you want to achieve. Because why bother? You do need to bother, because otherwise, if you continue down that spiral, you're just going to end up sat in your couch at home, because why bother doing anything else when you could just stay at home and pig out? Why bother trying to look good for a specific party just because you don't think that you're the size that you want to be? Because, well, bother, because it, regardless of the size that you are, you're worth looking good. You're worth feeling good about yourself. You deserve that in your life. So why wouldn't you, regardless of your size? And it all goes down to self-love and self-acceptance, and forgiving yourself for whatever has led you or not to put weight on that you wanted or you didn't want to put on. And I'm assuming that you don't want that weight on if you're watching this. If you're happy with your weight, I am happy for you and I wish you nothing but the best. But if you're losing weight and you're thinking that way, then you need to find a way of connecting with yourself and with that inner sense of pride that you deserve to have, because everybody does, and accept that you're a wonderful person as you are, and you're worthy of all great things in life. So make sure that is something that is playing in your mind, that you're tackling that. I think as you think about that, and as you think about your own self-worth and self-love, you deserve all of that. What I have noticed is that as you're losing weight and as you're seeing the results that you want, that will build. It won't build just by itself, but it will build, and you will feel more self-love, you'll feel more self-respect. You will even demand more self-respect and more respect for yourself from others around you. I think, and I don't think that's necessarily from the weight itself. Of course, it's because you are liking what you're seeing a lot more than before, but I think it also comes from this sense of achievement that you get from losing weight and from giving yourself it's not the weight, it's the giving yourself a goal of something to do for yourself and then achieving that. Whether it's the weight, whether it's exercise, whether it's to study a degree, whether it's whatever it might be, things that you set yourself that you want to do. And that makes a big difference. So, find a way of building that into your life, and do not shy away from demanding more from yourself and demanding more from others for you too. Because that is also allowed, even if it's just respecting your own space and giving you the space to do that. And then the other topic is, that if you don't look out for yourself, nobody's going to do it for you. Okay. I've spent a lot of time almost like waiting for life to begin and waiting for things to do and, waiting for the right time for certain things. And the reality is that nobody's coming to do anything for you. Nobody's going to come to rescue you. Nobody's going to come to change your life. Nobody's going to change the circumstances for you. You need to do that for yourself. And you're more than capable of doing that. So don't wait around. If you're waiting for something, please check in with yourself, because you're the only one that can do something about it. And it starts with you deciding one single thing that you want to change and single focus on that and think, what can I do to make a positive change towards achieving that? And that's, that's been my experience. That's how I started. And I've really focused on weight loss. I want to conquer it. I want this time to be the last time I lose weight and the last time that I have to focus on losing such a significant amount of weight, on my diet, on doing this. So I am focused on making this the last diet that I ever do, that doesn't mean that I am being unrealistic and that I don't know that when I get down to the way that I want to be, that I'll have fluctuations that I'll need to manage. I know that, but I am so focused on conquering this weight thing that I've been carrying my whole life once and for all. And that when you focus on it in such a way, it does give you a different perspective, and it helps you to really think through what are the things that you need to do to get that outcome, and it just focuses your mind in a different way. It helps to build your motivation. It helps to focus your activities, your willpower, your decision making. All of that makes a massive difference towards you achieving your goals, whether it's for weight loss or otherwise. Another comment that is something that I've heard recently, and I think it's really important. I heard it in a different forum, but it was more from a perspective of what does your future self need to operate at that level? So if you think about, if you wanted to be a lawyer, you know that you would need to study law to get to that point, right? And you know that you need a law degree. There are certain things that are minimum that you need to have and to get to that point. And I guess if you apply in a different way to your ideal weight, if you want to be a certain weight, what does a person that is at that weight not just look like, but what do they eat? What do they do for exercise and to keep active? How do they take care of themselves? What is their self-care routine? How much time do they make for themselves? How do they prioritize themselves? What are the sort of things that they do and that they don't do? And it's not just about appearing in a picture or happy. It's about thinking practically of what it takes to be there, and being aware of that, so you are constantly planning how you're going to shift your behavior so you can get to that end point, and start with that end point in mind, and then that will help to really focus your attention on what it is that you need to do tangibly different to get there. So hopefully that's a different way of or helping you focus on yourself and on the goals that you want to achieve. The other thing that I think is important to do as you are focusing on you and recalibrating on whether you are focusing on yourself enough is, are you taking time in a day, in a week, in a month to connect with yourself and to reflect on where you are, how you're feeling, what your needs are, anything that is working well, anything that is not working so well, anything that you need to change? And in my example, I had to get to a drastic case where I completely forgot my food last week, and I had to have that moment of recalibration. But it made me realize that I had been getting into a certain dynamic of work and rushing and coming and going, and my routine had been working for me. It continues to work, because if you follow the plan with your 4 products, it works well. But what I did notice was that the stress levels were hiking, that I was starting to forget things, that I wasn't focusing on my diet on a day-to-day basis, and that I needed to do something to address that. And for me, it's important, and I hadn't even realized just how stressed I had been and I had been feeling until that happened. And that's when it all came kind of to pass. And I guess it really came to my attention because I was going through all of the upset of, I forgot my products, what am I going to do? I've got these meetings, I've got to come and go, and all of this. Somebody at work, from a really good place, they said to me, you look really lost without your products, like you really lost, you don't know what to do. And I thought, I don't like the idea of me feeling lost. I just, I'm not going to accept that. That's not something that's happening. But it is true, that's how I'm feeling right now. And that's when I realized it's just everything is getting on top of me, because it's just this on top of everything else. And I didn't know at that point. I was just getting into my own world of self-pity. And I was kind of drowning in that instead of thinking, what is it that I need to do tangibly different to address this? And that helped me to really think, I haven't been checking in terms of how I'm feeling, the stress, what's happening, what I need to do. But also I was very aware that things are changing. I need to go, and I've started this week now moving from 4 products to 3 products a day, and I did my first day yesterday, and so far so good. And my husband is in a great place. He's lost 6 stones in the same amount of time. And he's now in the position where he's shifting from step 1 to step 2, and he's going to be going up the steps. So he's moving to start to eat food. And I hadn't even had time to start thinking about what that actually meant. So I guess what I was feeling a little bit subconsciously was, I've got all of this stuff happening at work, but also I can see that my diet is changing and my husband's diet is changing and our dynamics are changing. We need to start doing a weekly shop on top of the products and all of this. And, all of a sudden, even though I knew this moment was coming, it was just all here and it was all happening at the same time. So I needed to give myself a bit of a breather and a bit of time to digest that and a bit of time to check in. And to realize that actually our needs are changing and they are going to change. And I just needed to recalibrate what we needed to do as a result. And actually that is okay, because our needs are meant to change. But I wasn't giving myself the space to think about what are those changes and how can we tweak them. I've mentioned in other videos of how well I have felt that I have done adjusting to a new routine and building those new habits. But I've also noticed that I've become very reliant and they've become my safe space, those habits. And then all of a sudden they're changing, and there was a lot of anxiety around what is the impact of this going to be on my life, on my weight loss, on how I'm feeling about the diet and everything else. And I think I was just worrying without actually thinking about it constructively and without actually doing anything about it, which is just worry for worry's sake, and then that just creates anxiety and it solves absolutely no problem. So I had to address that and kind of give myself the space to think about it and to work through what that meant. So that's been a bit of a again, another penny dropping moment this week, but I think it's very important to understand that for you to be able to adjust to change, you need to really focus on yourself and your needs and how you're feeling, and what's coming up, so you can tweak and course correct as you need to. And you know, those changes will be a constant, that you're not going to stay static. Is that you're going to have to adjust what you're doing all the time, whether it's because the seasons are changing. You know, you're going from summer to winter, and you're going from eating cold stuff to hot stuff. What does that mean? You want to eat more soups or other food? What do you need to do to change that, to make sure that you're sticking to your routines and your diet and your plan? You know, is it family situations? Is it life situations? Is it work situations? Things are going to change, that happen around you. That means that you need to tweak and adjust. So give yourself the space to do that. Allow yourself to have a moment where you think, okay, I need a moment to myself to understand what's happening. And don't feel free to adjust and but keep that focus on yourself at all times, so you can retain that sense of, I am doing this for me, I'm taking care of myself, and I am committed to being my best self at all times. You know, because that is what helps you to really accept yourself just as you are in the moment that you're now, regardless of what you're feeling and what you're going through, because that's normal. You know, you can't help that you're going to have an emotional reaction to things that happen around you. What you can do is you can choose how you react to that, and understand that you will have those feelings, and understand that there's things that you can do about them. And keeping the right focus will help you to manage that and to deal with those emotions in a different way. And I think the other thing is just to accept where you're at, and accept your needs, and accept yourself unapologetically and without having to justify yourself. You're perfectly imperfect and perfect where you are right now, and all of your needs are perfectly justified, and there is no reason why you shouldn't focus on yourself and take care of yourself, because everybody deserves that. And yeah, you need to just be able to be happy with yourself first, and that's what I have been learning actually throughout this process. And if you're feeling anything like this, and I'm hoping that this is helpful, that it resonates, that you can relate to it, and that you find it helpful in any way. So if you have any comments, any further thoughts, like I said at the start, please feel free to leave a comment. I look forward to hearing from all of you, and I'll keep you posted with my next update next week. Have a great one. All the best. Bye.